We're a little bit late, but on time. We're on time in the lateness, but late nonetheless. I am joined tonight by none other than Miss Peachy, the Astro Weather Cat, sitting in on the Sunday night AstroLive extravaganza tonight. We had a big, it's like the Brady Bunch of cats on weekends. And the lovely and talented ones, cats, join us for 2 days, which is always interesting. Always interesting. They're unusual cats. I've never had a cat jump in a refrigerator before, nor have I had a cat, it's a different one, jump in my dishwasher and get stuck in the prongs that come up for the placement of the plates in the bottom rack. They're different, but they're all sort of learning how to coexist like the rest of us. So Peachy is beautiful. Should we give them another dose of beauty? Another dose of your beauty. Yes. She has a body like a burrito, though. She's a little burrito body. We call her our Lapo. Certain people she likes. Other people doesn't cotton to them immediately. Over time, she can find her way there. You know, you got to have a little cat psychology. But we call her the little Lapo. Let's see. Who else do we have? The lovely and talented one is here. Cat stories. We have them on the weekends. At nighttime, my feet get attacked mercilessly when I'm asleep. It's not fun. It's not fun. But you take, but you know, it comes with the territory. If they're kittens, they get the foot attack pass. But yeah, no, it's been hilarious with these two. But I've never seen a cat just jump into a refrigerator before. It's not like, what the fuck? And more than once, right? And then go all the way to the back of the refrigerator, which is goofy. Let's see. How about a cat jumping into a bathtub? Yes, I've had that happen. And it's almost as like the bathtub becomes solid in some weird way, and they're able to kind of spring out. It's kind of hard to describe if you haven't seen it before. But usually what happens, they'll fall in, and they'll somehow get a paw on the side as they're falling. At least that's what I saw. And then kind of spring back out. Like, whoa. Sign of the apocalypse. Could be. Awesome 49ers game. That's why I'm late. I indulged in the bread and circus with butter tonight. And I still love watching pro football because it is unparalleled drama, entertainment, even with the WWE factor thrown in. That I think a lot of it is scripted, to be honest with you. There was this guy that was on, I think, Instagram, and he said that he knew people inside the NFL front office, and he was there to confirm that the participants in the Super Bowl, because it's all scripted out ahead of time, will be the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams. So if Charlie is around, Charlie's our big Bills fan. And if he's around, I'm sure he'll like to hear that. And according to Forum, Buffalo and Los Angeles pulled out last-minute wins. So that may be true. We might be looking at a Buffalo Ram Although the Broncos are in the playoffs too. We haven't really discussed the Broncos very much. And we're coming into the year of the horse. So it might be appropriate if the Broncos gallop their way into the Super Bowl. I know the people in Denver and Colorado would surely love it. That would fit the Chinese animal for the year of the fire horse. The Bills would be the year of the ox. And the Rams would be the year of the sheep. And sometimes every now and then they rename these Chinese animals. For a while, it was like kind of Rive Gauche to, remember that perfume, Rive Gauche? It was Rive Gauche to rename the year of the tiger, the year of the cat. It's like, no, it's not the cat. It's a tiger. And it's a tiger for a reason. And I've seen the sheep renamed the ram. No, it's not a ram. It's a sheep. So we're here for original source when it comes to the Chinese New Year. We're the Placidus model of the Chinese New Year. Esperanza events, go Bears, another team feeling like destiny. The head coaches, I always like to look at the signs of the head coaches and their quarterbacks. So with the Bears, you have Caleb Williams, who I believe is a Cancer, if I'm not mistaken, and Ben Johnson, who is a Taurus. And that actually works pretty well when you have a earth sign coach and a water sign. Oh no, they're opposites. Oh, I was wrong about that. Good thing I checked. Caleb Williams, Scorpio, born November 18th. Ben Johnson, born May 11th. So their sons are opposite. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Usually, like I think when Ben Johnson first showed up, Caleb Williams was not into it. He wasn't into it because Ben Johnson was such a hard ass. But because Ben Johnson is really smart and also a hard ass, he was able to convince Caleb Williams that it was a good thing. And Caleb Williams kind of figured it out. So yeah, Taurus, Scorpio, Kyle Shanahan, Sagittarius, Brock Purdy, Capricorn. That's all I think I know off the top of my head. Jalen Hurts, Leo, Nick Sirianni, Gemini. I know them. Who else is in the playoffs? Oh, yeah. What is Bo Nix? Bo Nix is a Pisces. You don't see a lot of Super Bowl winning Pisces quarterbacks. Most of the Super Bowl winners tend to be Capricorns, Aries, Leo. And so he's a Pisces, and then his coach Sean Payton is a Capricorn. So there's your water, earth. Works. It works. Brock Purdy has enough planets in Sagittarius so he could have the mind meld with Kyle Shanahan. Now, who else do we have still left in the playoffs? Let's see. The Bills are in the playoffs. Josh Allen's a Gemini. And he's right at the beginning of Gemini. And the coach, and usually I know these guys inside out. The coach is Sean McDermott, who looks like he could pass for Bill Burr. So Sean McDermott is March 21st. So he's an Aries, and Josh Allen is a Gemini. And they're both right at almost the 0 points of their signs. So fire, air, sextile. Sean Payton, Bo Nix, water, earth, sextile. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams opposition. Neptune, Scorpio, Taurus. And then let's find out Matt Stafford. I think he's an Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Matt Stafford and Sean McVay are both Aquarians. So Sean McVay, January 24th, Matt Stafford, February 7th. So they're Aquarians. They're on the same wavelength. And once Matt Stafford got to Los Angeles, he had the right coach for the right system. So there you go. There's your little playoff coach QB review. We have, I wouldn't say their suns are conjunct, kind of wide, right? Almost by 10 degrees. But, with conjunctions, I still feel like wide conjunctions matter. I used to have this radical opinion that if planets were in two signs, that they were conjunct. Even if it was like at 15 degrees, 16, 17, 18, I just felt like their influence, because I think it's true. I mean, there's something about how two signs understand each other in ways that two other signs may not understand each other. Like two Aquarians can really understand each other. Like they'd be good at understanding, because they sort of understand the rules of engagement, friendly but not attached, kind of quirky, bright, likes group settings, but also has to find time for who they are individually, because they can get lost in the group. But being back in the group re-energizes them, regenerates them. So Aquarians have kind of an innate understanding of each other. I think all signs in conjunction do. Whether or not they like each other, that's a whole other thing. You get two Scorpios together and they'll fuck themselves to death, right? I mean, there's some truth to that in some ways. But I think two Scorpios together could be really great if they have trust. If they have trust and they've worked through their issues. And again, this is not taking into account any other planets, just sun signs. But I feel like they could be very good with each other, but they'd have to have trust. And they could fall into a pattern where they may trust each other and not trust the world. Like they could just have their circle of trust for themselves and build their intimacy and relationship around that and keep everybody out. I mean, that Scorpios could do that. Like, we don't need anybody else. We've got each other. We've got each other's back. And boy, do we have each other's back. But it can't work. But each person in that relationship has to go through their ability to handle the darkness. And that's the nature of Scorpio. I feel like with Scorpio, they're going to have 2, maybe 3 major events in their lives where they really have to purge and die and become transformed. And when they do that, they're amazing. They're impeccable. I like Scorpios. I like, people never tell me. I always get flack about Gemini, Aquarius, Pisces, Mars, and Libra. I like all the signs. I think they're all fascinating. But there are certain signs that have certain modalities. And when you talk about them, sometimes, look, I think Virgo can be a real pain in the ass, and I'm a Virgo. And I have been here. So this is a good segue. So on Tuesday, actually going in for this heart procedure on Tuesday. And the way that my cardiologist talks about it, it's just like, not a big deal. I'm just going to go in there. and we're going to motley crew your heart. That's code for kickstart your heart, which is attaching electric pads to my heart and then jolting my heart. I have to be under for that. So that's what's happening on Tuesday. And it's been a very interesting time for me to kind of go through this, because it all started last year. And it was when transiting Mars in the South Node were in my 10th house, opposing Saturn and Neptune, wide opposition. And then there were the two eclipses. I thought maybe that I could have died on the September 21st eclipse, because it was on my sun and opposing Neptune and opposing Saturn. And I don't often think that, but if it was my client, if I was on my own client, I would have a delicate conversation about what that transit meant. Because you just can't really come right out and say those things. But you can talk about them in ways that might be more instructive and helpful. But a lot of you know that I was having heart failure, and basically got into the wire. If I had waited another 5 days, maybe I would have been in the hospital. When I say waited, that meant going to see this cardiologist in Austin. And he's been great. I mean, he's got a very easygoing armchair manner. And his reviews are all great. The only bad reviews he gets is the staff, who apparently have rubbed people the wrong way who go there. Has nothing to do with him. I found the staff to be quite nice and helpful, so I don't have any complaints or beefs about that. We'll see when the billing comes. But it was also having to wait. And this is all just such a weird time, because I also it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna turn 65 and your heart's gonna go out on you. That was not fun, because 65 has its own baggage. And I had spent like months like working with a trainer to get into better shape. But what was happening was that my workouts were later in the day, 6, 7 o'clock at night. And after a long day, I would, get juiced up on creatine and matcha green tea powder and BCAA and bone meal protein and blueberries. And, I'd fire that up and I'd put it in the blender and I'd be good to go. I'd be ready to go. The problem was that the stimulus factor with all that, plus the working out, was making it very difficult for me to sleep. And I was already in AFib. I've been in this AFib state for a while, and it just exacerbated it. So I went for about a week without sleeping, and then you need to have sleep for your heart. So that exacerbated everything. And then I don't know if you guys saw the first X-Men movie. Did you ever see that? There's this character who plays like this Eugene McCarthy style figure, played by Bruce. What's his name? I forget his last name. And he's like out to get the mutants. And he's abducted by Magneto because he's an enemy of the mutants, not the good mutants, the bad mutants. And he turns him into a mutant. And all he does is just take on water. That's all he does. He just becomes like Waterman. But there's no fucking, superpower attached to it. And eventually he just completely turns to water and washes away in the ocean. And that's how I was feeling. I was feeling like that guy who, well, you can't drink very much. Well, I'm fucking thirsty. Well, you can't drink much. So it was a, heavy time, a heavy, very heavy time. And, I was doing shows during that period and working with people, and I would do a reading. I'd be exhausted after the reading, after the session. So it's been intense, right? Like there's all this life passage stuff that goes along with it. Like today I had to make out my power of attorney and medical power of attorney. Very involved. Shout out to Janine. Helped me out with that. By the way, if you have any need for wills or anything legal that doesn't require a lawyer, Janine has legal skills. She may have some kind of accreditation. I'm not sure, but she really helped me out, and she's available for people. So if you see her in the chat, say hi to her and give her a shout if you need any of those services. She helped out, but it's a very sobering process to, well, yeah, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to go. We're all going to go. And in order for it to be smooth, well, this is what needs to happen. And you have to think about how you're going to die. What are your wishes? And I had to go through all that, and I did all that today. And it's there are no givens. I mean, this theoretically, knock on wood, could be my last Sunday night show. I don't think it is, but you never know. You never know. When it's time to go, it's time to go. And look, one of the things that I'm grateful for is, and I don't think I'm going to go, but one of the things that I'm grateful for is when I took a break over the holidays, so many of you reached out to me and told me, how much, even without knowing that I was going through anything, some of you did, but there were people who didn't, and they reached out and they shared their feelings, which was super positive. And it's, again, I've talked about this before, but, one of the beautiful things about being a Virgo is you can kind of just get down to business. And one of the hard things about being a Virgo is that you can just get down to business. And taking in these comments and calls, etc. Let's just say I'm taking them differently than I probably would have. Not that I would have just sloughed them off because they're meaningful. But I certainly took them in differently than I would have in July, when there was no sort of immediate threat, right? So that was really powerful and was a reminder of, why I do this. And it's such a strange and beautiful feeling to know that I'm connected to some people that I'll never meet. Just like some of you have this in your own way. Some of you have your own YouTube channels, or you're connected with other people. Maybe you've met them through Chattaria and you have kind of digital pen pal relationships. But it's an interesting feeling, and you never really know. You never really know how this thing affects you. Anyway, I was getting back to the Virgo part, and one of the things that I have had to work on recently is control. And it's been usually, when you look at the ascendant, right? If you have a planet in your chart that's sextiling or trining your ascendant, it means that you can take your kind of soul packet, which is your sun, and you can move it into your identity easily, right? The trine is like no effort. And a lot of it is degree based as well. The sextile is, hey, well, let me try this. What if I kind of move the energy of my soul packet through my first house and I become more accessible to people? And I've been able to do that, right? Because I'm a 28 Scorpio rising, 29 Virgo sun. So the angularity makes it easy. But still, it's like with Neptune and Saturn opposing my sun, like I have, and I've had Neptune and Saturn squaring my Mars. I am going through lessons of self-restraint and letting water roll off my back. And some days I'm better than others. There's some days where I'm not feeling good and my patience is short. And it's like, fuck that person. And I'm working on that. This is something I'm working on. And what I'm attempting to do is and I'm usually pretty good at it, but man, these transits plus the physical condition, which I do believe is, you can also see it in the chart, that it's made me more aware of a fine tuning of the process. Cleaning it up. That's what it feels like. And shout out to Jenny from Miami, who gave me, I think she listens from time to time, who gave me a Cards of Life reading, which was interesting, quite good. And she said I'm in a Mars year based on the Cards of Life. So I have to have some degree of self-restraint, or I'm going to, be in conflict, right? Or if I'm going to use the Mars energy, it should be used for something different than conflict. And sometimes conflict is unavoidable. And it's what we do with it that makes us who we are. Anyway, there's my astrological rundown. So for all of you who reached out, thank you. Sent some good vibes my way for Tuesday. And hopefully Wednesday morning, you turn on your screen and there's a notification, and I'm on the other side of the screen. Not on the other side. Not yet. Right, Peachy? We have work to do. We have work to do. You have people to make happy. Should we give them another little dose of Peachy? Here we go. Here's another little dose of Peachy. Right there. Right there. Okay. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the show. I'm not going to have a long show tonight. Because I have material. I really wanted to do the astrology of The Office. Because I found some really interesting things about The Office. I'll just tell you one thing right off the bat. If you're an Office fan, raise your hand. I love The Office. I think The Office is probably the funniest show ever produced for TV. Right? Yeah, thank you for all the support. Appreciate it. I think Sunlight. I agree, Sunlight. I agree. Love The Office too. Sun Tzu loves The Office. Haridas, thank you. I will smile. So, one of the things that made The Office so great was Steve Carell's character, Michael Scott. And Steve Carell is a Leo sun. And he kind of radiates that quality of the Leo sun. And because he's always on stage and goofing and wants to be the center of attention, right? And so I feel like people's astrology really bleeds through their characters. And with Michael Scott, he is now there are some people who say that the real center of the universe, of the office, is John Krasinski, who is a Libra, by the way. I get it. He's one of the normal ones, but no, everything revolves around Michael. Everything. He is the solar disk at the center of the office. I mean, literally and figuratively. And who is his right-hand man? Dwight Schrute. And what is Rainn Wilson? He's an Aquarian. He's a kooky Aquarian. What happens between Michael and Dwight in the show? They're like this, and then they're like this, and then they become rivals, right? Dwight turns on Michael, and now they've got this competitive thing going on. So then you have Andy, who comes into the show, and Ed Helms plays Andy. Ed Helms and Rainn Wilson, their birthdays are one day apart, but separate years. So now we have another Aquarian that comes in. And he also tries to replace Michael, right? Dwight winds up replacing Michael ultimately in the end, right? So Leo gives way to Aquarius. Ed Helms' character replaces Michael. And he's also an Aquarius. So Leo gives way to Aquarius again. And those are in the mix. I'm just doing it now. It's James Spader, who plays Robert California, who is hands down my favorite fucking character from The Office. And Spader brings that detached Aquarian cool, right? And he's really offbeat and eccentric, but eccentric in a different way than Dwight is. Like, he's kind of dangerously eccentric. He actually replaces off Michael Scott. So Michael was replaced by 3 Aquarians. And I don't count Will Ferrell's character because he's only on for 4 shows, even though he replaces him for a brief period of time. And Will Ferrell is a Cancer. So it's fascinating that these 3 Aquarian characters, or these 3 actors who are Aquarians, even Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I'm going to put a pin. Let me finish off, so I'll talk about Sex, Lies, and Videotape. These 3 Aquarian actors wind up replacing the Leo head of The Office. That's fascinating. Anyway, if you go back and you watch Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which is a James Spader film, he plays this guy who can only experience intimacy while he's videotaping somebody and talking to them, and then ultimately consummating that that relationship on video. He's got all these videos, and he plays this kind of like this drifter. You know, he's like a no man. He shows up kind of back in the lives of people that used to know him. And he's just all about honesty and being in the moment. And he's a very threatening character, but his own intimacy is based on a type of voyeurism that I think is very much akin and related to Aquarius. And you could see Spader, play that kind of detached reserve. He's got it down. He's totally got it down. There's a movie, it's one of my favorite James Spader movies. Even a movie like Crash, which I wasn't going to talk about, but even Crash is kind of a weird sort of, expose in Aquarian, vicarious automobile accidents, autosexuality. It's bizarre, right? It's not normal. It's not usual. It's not like intimacy in a way that, say, a Libra might, or Cancer or Taurus might describe intimacy. It's autoerotic, and it's all based on people that, if you're not familiar with the story, it was written by J.G. Ballard. It's a group of people who, when they come upon an automobile accident, they get physically aroused, and then they, go at it, and then they start to crash on purpose. Holly Hunters, and it's a very unusual movie. But again, I feel like it's very, very Aquarian in a lot of ways. And James Spader is in it, plays one of the characters. Another movie where James Spader, I think, really stands out. I believe it's his first movie. It's called Tough Turf. And he plays an outsider. He plays kind of this rich boy outsider, which he kind of is, right? James Spader grew up with privilege. A lot of these actors grew up with privilege. If you look at the people that came up with The Office and wrote for they're all fucking Ivy League kids, right? Anyway, James Spader plays this outsider in Tough Turf, and he's rich, and he doesn't really like the trappings of his wealth. Turns out he's a lot more gritty than people thought he would be. Really gritty. Kelly Zatt says Ballard seems like a prophet with some of his writing. Yeah, I mean, even something like Crash. I mean, I think there were people who were doing stuff like that. Of all the movie stars, I like it's James Spader is badass. He's really a badass. Love James Spader. Tondar's in the house. My mom is a cat with a Cancer moon. She hates James Spader. James Spader and Robert California is one of the most hated characters in The Office, besides Pam Beasley. Pam, for whatever reason, Pam is the most hated character in Office. By the way, Jenna Fisher, Pisces. So both Jenna Fisher and John Krasinski have a Venus influence in their chart. And they had some interesting astrological stuff going on in their chart. We're talking conjunctions. Really, really interesting. Maybe I'll get into their, the secretary. How you doing, Steve? Yeah, she's the most hated, but also the Robert California character, because he wasn't Michael Scott, right? And the thing that was really interesting when I first started to watch The Office, which was season 1, I thought Michael was just this irredeemable asshole. Like, why is this guy even in this show? And the ratings sort of reflected that. So the writers evolved his character to make him more likable. And it was a good move. It was a really good move. If they'd kept him as a static character, it wouldn't have worked. People would have dropped The Office. The Secretary is a great film. Is that with Spader too? I haven't seen that one. Yeah, fucking who doesn't laugh at the fucking Office? Some of it is so politically incorrect, which we all, I think, really enjoy. All right, there you go. Boston Legal. You got Boston Legal, and then you had what was it? The Black Book. Was it the Black Book? Which I didn't really pay attention to. I wasn't really watching TV. Raymond Reddington, and he plays Ultron. Right? I mean, talk about Aquarian. He's going to destroy the world because it's for the greater good. Isn't that Ultron's role? He loves humanity so much he has to destroy it. Pretty in Pink, The Blacklist. Thank you, Haywood. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but now that I've been going back and watching some of the Office stuff, I'm like, maybe I should go back and watch some of this Blacklist stuff. And Stargate, he was great. James Spader was great in Stargate. He's so funny. He picks the oddest roles. His choice of roles is so freaking Aquarian. Am I right? It's really, really Aquarian. And you can see this with a lot of these actors. Their charts just really bleed through. Anyway, he was a sexy jerk and Pretty in Pink. I never saw that. There was the one John Waters movie. There's a couple. I haven't seen that one. I have a hard time watching Molly Ringwald. She can't act very well. I remember watching 16 Candles, which I love. It's a really good movie. And I just remember watching it for like about the fifth time, like, man, Molly Ringwald just cannot act. And you could tell, I mean, she had her day in the sun with John Hughes, and, that's about it. Right. Speaking of can't acting, we watched The Getaway, which is a remake of the Steve McQueen version with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. Boy, but Kim have a hard time acting in that one. And Alec Baldwin, Aries. And the first scene of The Getaway is Alec Baldwin at a firing range with a gun. Isn't that interesting? Right. And then you do the math astrologically. And his father was a firearms instructor when Alec Baldwin was in high school. So all the kids were, theoretically well versed in firearms, which makes whatever happened on that set, what was it called, Rust or something like that, even more suspicious because Alec knew his way around a firearm. And well, he's in hell right now because he's got to be married to that woman who's a Capricorn, hilarious a Capricorn. She's basically a starfucker. Anyway, yeah, Alec Baldwin, Aries. And he played, what's interesting is about both Steve McQueen and Alec Baldwin were both Aries. And they both played the title role in The Getaway. But Alec Baldwin played it different than Steve McQueen. Alec Baldwin tried to play with menace and a sense of kind of boiling rage. And Steve McQueen was just cool. He was just cool. The less he said, the better, according to McQueen. And I would tend to agree. And I think Alec Baldwin was trying to kind of get there, but he was also trying to, I think, amp the, hey, I'm dangerous. I'm a stepping razor. He is so cocked. He is so cocked. Isn't that like his punishment that he's got to spend the rest of his living days with Hilaria, upstaging him at every red carpet? Tondars. I think Baldwin intended to dry fire the gun with rage. That's the name of the movie, Rage, not Rust, Rage. But somehow it ended up loaded with live rounds. It's kind of like Brandon Lee, sort of. I think Brandon Lee had a hot round when he was doing a stunt. Sedona Angel, he might not stay cucked. Neptune's going to take a while. He's born April 14th. Saturn will definitely force Alec Baldwin. So here's a good chance to talk about astrology, more astrology. Saturn will anytime you have the sun anytime you have Saturn conjunct your sun in a chart, that 28 and a half year cycle where Saturn was prior to that is over and done with. Right? Like it's over and done with, and you get to start something new. Now, there is an important point. That's the halfway point between the Saturn return to the sun and what's going on the other side of it. And what's going on the other side of it is like taking stock of where you are. Where are you on your journey? This is like one of those long distance runs through the Mojave, right? And for some people, they have to let go of what they're doing with the Saturn-Sun opposition. That's critical. It's really, really critical. Now, you can go through a trial, you can go through a test, you can shed your skin, which Saturn says you must do with the opposition. External forces are having you kind of re-examine and revisit who you are, what you're doing, why you're here. And you can theoretically make adjustments. For some people, it's like, I need to be doing something completely different. So the last time I had Saturn opposing my sun, I was living in this apartment building in Oakland. It was on the edge of the hood, and I managed it for 3 years. And it was crazy. It was really crazy. I would never suggest it to anybody else, but I would also probably not trade those 3 years in. because of what I was able to learn and go through as the manager of this apartment building. It was a fact. When I sit down to write, this is going to be a big chunk of it because I learned a lot. But by the time Saturn was opposing my sun, I was done. Right, I had Saturn going through my fourth house, which is always a transit where people move. You could try to fix your house, do some things to it, you know, like here, this place, I moved in, and immediately what I'd have to do, I had to replace the septic system. Not the system itself, but the leach field. It cost me about $9,000. I've had other issues with the water here, Saturn, Pisces, fourth house. I saw it coming, right? Saw it coming. There's also the moving. There's the moving, because where you wind up with that Saturn in the fourth house is generally where you spend the next 15 years. Generally. Now, in my case, I didn't have any place to move to. I was freaking homeless. So this was in 1996, the final degrees of Saturn and Pisces going into Aries. And I wound up moving into a warehouse for 2 years. Almost another 3 years. And this is it was a warehouse. It wasn't like a live workspace, pallets. And I lived in one of the offices in the warehouse. So I spent 6 years living kind of off grid in the city. Wound up getting rid of my bank account. It was a really interesting time. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I was doing a lot of tarot reading back then. And it was such a different time. Like, through word of mouth, people from all over the country would do tarot readings with me. And we just talk on the phone, and I had this little device with a suction cup that I could hook up to a cassette recorder. And they would record the calls. Journalists would use those things. And that's what I would do. I'd record the calls. I didn't have a speakerphone. And then I would take the cassettes and I would send them off to these people. And they would pay me money. They would send me checks in the mail. I didn't even have a credit card processor. And I didn't trip off of it, right? It was just like, if you send me a check, that's great. So I just get these checks in the mail. And if I didn't have, and if they were like, let's say a Bank America check, I just go to Bank America and cash it. But if it was like Keystone Bank from Pennsylvania, and there wasn't a Keystone Bank in California, I would take it to the check cashing places in the hood. And they'd charge me 10%, and I just get my money. So I spent 6 years trying to figure out where I was going and what I was going to do and where my next move was. And then, like clockwork, Saturn starts to move up the chart, right? And it goes through that all-important 8th house transit where you're really getting cooked in a good way. You're getting cooked, but you have to die, right? It's metaphoric with Saturn in the 8th house. You have to die. It's a really important transit. And when I went through it, it was hellish, but also providential in that I was able to ultimately change something very deep. People talk about soul retrieval. Let's talk about soul retrieval. So I experienced soul retrieval during that Saturn transit of my 8th house. And if you're going through a Saturn transit of your 8th house, that's on the menu for you. It's totally on the menu. And what do I mean by that? It means that something has the possibility of happening where you have lost part of yourself in this lifetime. I'm not talking about some past life. I'm talking about this lifetime where you lost part of your soul. It could be a marriage. It could be the firing of a job. It could be anything. And the reason I know this is because I experienced it. I'm not going to get into the details. I'll save it for another time. But when I was going through that Saturn transit the 8th house, also having a Saturn opposition as well, it's around 44, something occurred that I was able to redirect a part of my life that I had experienced a deep amount of shame with, and it really changed the direction of my life. And it went back. I got it back. I got it back. And the way that I got it back was because I was putting together this concert. And through the organization of the concert, it was all hands on deck. So it wasn't passive at all. You know, I was on the hook for a lot of money for this concert at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. And every day I'd wake up, it was like, how could I fail? How could I fail? And I know some people out there would say, well, that's not the right mindset. I had Saturn going through my fucking 8th house. It's like no stone should be unturned. So I spent every single waking hour pretty much that I had available to me. My son was quite young. Basically planning and promoting, mostly promoting this concert. In fact, I would take my son with me in his baby cart. It helped. I was able to get posters. Who's going to deny a guy with a baby cart promoting a concert with posters? Yes, I pimped my son out. It was a little transactional, but I had to. He was with me. And it was through that, because in my 20s, I had fucked up something pretty big. And it cast a kind of real shadow over my life. And I was able to get it back. So if you have Saturn going through your 8th house, remember this. Remember the night that Robert Phoenix at 8:22 at 1:11 p.m. told you that your Saturn transit through the 8th house can help you reclaim part of who you are that you have disassociated yourself with or from in this lifetime. There you go. There you go. Bob Weir has left the planet. That's right. That's right. He truly is the Grateful Dead now, isn't he? I hung out with Nikki Scully for a while. She was cool. She was really, I liked her. She was the ex-wife of Rock Scully, who was the manager of the Grateful Dead for a while, for a long time, actually. I got to know Nikki, and she was a tarot reader. She was a super cool person. I really liked her. Yeah. So how many members of the Grateful Dead are left? I know Mickey Hart is alive. Do we count Bruce Hornsby? Because he's still alive. And Bill Kreutzmann is still alive. So you have Kreutzmann, you have Mickey Hart, and you have Bruce Hornsby. Those are the three guys from the dead that are still left. Yeah. Bob Weir had one of those young faces that looked like he could live forever. Didn't he? He looked young for a really long time. See what sign was Bob Weir. Libra. He had that kind of Libra charm about him, didn't he? Phil Lesh is gone. Jerry's gone. Vince Welnick, who played keyboards, committed suicide. Of course, you have Pigpen. You have both the Godchows, Keith and Donna. Keith played keyboard. He died. So it's Hart, Kreutzmann, and Hornsby. That's it. It's really sad when members of bands die. Like everybody from the band is gone. And I really love the band's first few records, like their first 3 or 4 records. I love Levon Helm. I just thought they were so interesting and cool, and they're all gone. And it's like it's really interesting. We're going to talk. This could be a good transition. We're going to talk about I Show Speed. tonight. And what's interesting about this guy, I Show Speed, we're going to get into him, is that the new rock stars and the new movie stars are streamers. They're streamers and they're TikTokers. They are streamers and TikTokers. These are the people that are populating the new star system. And I've done LA's chart, Los Angeles' chart. And what's interesting about Los Angeles is it has a Leo midheaven, which is great for actors and acting. And, one of the things that was really fascinating was that when the LA fires hit, Pluto came in and was opposing LA's midheaven. It's like, hello. That makes a lot of sense astrologically. There are some other factors too. Was Mars in Aquarius? It's been a while. It was one of those disasters ago, right? But that's really the template for, in a lot of ways, Hollywood, cinema. It's that Leo. It's that Leo on the LA midheaven that cements this whole star system in a lot of ways. And how actors are very dramatic. And, it's very, everybody wants to be a Leo, right? Everybody wants to be a star. But that's changed. That has changed. LA is no longer the center of the solar system. It's no longer the center of the universe. It is way more diffuse and diverse. And so we have these new technologies, which, of course, are the ones that you're participating in with me now, which are not based in LA. We're taking the bypass around the old interstate here, right? That's like Route 66. Hollywood is Route 66. And what's happened, for better or worse, they've taken the parts of Hollywood that matter, and or maybe not matter, but matter and maybe manipulate, and they've sort of infused them into the internet, social media, YouTube, and even more than that. Like I feel like a lot of these psyops are very Hollywood based. Like they've taken everything that they know from creating TV shows, creating movies, whether it's effects, crowd control, whatever, scripts, characters. Like I was just reading tonight that there was a woman that they have a record of being at over 100 protests on. They literally have her clipped on all these different protests. She's paid. She's an actor, right? And so we have these things that now happen that are kind of Hollywood worthy in some ways. Like we have Renee Good. Hello. Renee Good, who supposedly gets killed right near 33rd Street in Minneapolis, home of St. Floyd. And even George Floyd, the whole George Floyd thing just felt like a production. Vegas feels like a production. I mean, all these things feel like productions. And that's because what they've done with Hollywood is they have blown it up, and the pieces of Hollywood that are still vital and tangible have been placed into these other mediums, right? Like TikTok, for instance. It's going to be very hard to get a audience on TikTok now because it's all staged. Larry Ellison's got the algorithm. They're not going to promote anything that is related to the truth. They'll decide what it is for you. That's like a script. They'll decide which productions you want to see. They'll decide which actors through the TikTok portal you will like. It's always been that way, but now it's even worse. The same can be said here in YouTube land with the algorithms. YouTube certainly promotes certain people. For a long time, I felt like Tim Pool was getting the old steroidal push from YouTube. that YouTube was invested in Tim Pool, that they had this symbiotic relationship. And it's usually with people whose channels grow very, very quickly. And all it takes is for YouTube to push the algorithm and make sure that the content creators stay inside the algorithm. Renee Good, mirror image of Ashley Babbitt. She also reminds me in some ways of this, we'll call her a character. Her name was Sandra Fluke. And I don't know if you remember who she was, but this is back in the Obama days. And all of a sudden, she shows up on Capitol Hill to talk about women's health rights. What she's there for is to promote abortion. That's what she's there for. But for whatever reason, they made this big stink out of this woman being there. And we've got, and it's like, even her name, Fluke. It's like, it's a fluke that she's there. You know, there's a worm that's a fluke, right? It's like, what the fuck? You know, it's like these, back in the, they used to write these books, these plays by like Congreve, Love's Labor's Lost, you know, Comedy of Errors. And the characters' names would be something along the lines of Sir Love-a-Lot, stuff like that, right? They would have these witty, punny names like Sir Love-a-Lot, Lady Loveless, you know, things like that. And of course, the authors were very aware of the fact that the names were going to trigger something. And fun to read. Wasn't really fun to write about. I just like, you know, comedy of errors, whatever, cool, funny. But give me the romantics any day. Anyway, but that's kind of what it's like, right? Renee Good, Ashley Babbitt, sounds like rabbit, takes you down the rabbit hole. Sandra Fluke. Like, you can't make some of these names up. And it just feels very much like central casting. By the way, good friend of the show, don't know if she's in chat tonight, knows people inside of the DC police, FBI sort of apparatus, good people. There are good people that are in those jobs. They don't always get the promotions, but there are good people. So she knows people in those places and told me without a shadow of a doubt that Ashley Babbitt was DOA. I had my doubts for a long time, but I trust this person. And these are people she's known for a very long period of time. And it's not like they're going to let it get out. So she tells some fucking podcaster that Ashley Babbitt died. Hey, we're going to plant this on her. So she's going to tell this guy who has a show on YouTube, and then we'll take care of it. But no, these characters, right? They're all characters now. And that's what Hollywood has become. So the new star system is Aquarian. It's not solar. And it could be anybody. And all you need is a following. And how you get that following? Well, it's a little bit of talent, a little bit of luck, a little bit of understanding the zeitgeist of your culture, and then also having the forces that be power you up. All right. So before I get into the heart of tonight's show, let me just talk about True Hemp Science. It is the sponsor of the show. When you spend $100, you'll get a goodie bag for some of the best CBD you can find. I had one of their gummies yesterday. It's always a delight with Chris's gummies. So there's that. There's tinctures. There's all kinds of things. There's ointments. Great stuff. And there's a first-time buyer discount as well, 20% off. So if you do that, you get the first-time buyer discount. Type in 15MINS. You'll get the goodie bag on top. Win, 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 win. Win for everybody. Okay. Oh, before I end the show. Before I end the show, because I may forget. Tonight is the last night for my special. After tomorrow night, you'll get turned off tomorrow night at midnight. If you want a transit reading, kickstart your year, $100 discount, $155. And I've got so many people now that I want you to temper your expectations. I won't be able to get to you for about 3 weeks. So just keep that in mind. Okay. But if it's there, there's no time limit to it. We can book you. I just have to get through the folks that have taken advantage of this. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you something. And it is a 5-hour stream. And I want you to stay with me for the first 10 minutes of this stream. And then I'm going to fast forward it. And then I'm going to break down the character who is at the center of all of this. His name is I Show Speed. His quote unquote Christian name is Darren Watkins. And he was born January 21st, 2005 in Cincinnati. He also goes by Speed. So I'm going to play about 10 minutes of this. Stay with me. It's going to blow your mind. And it will give you a sense as to the power of the internet and this brave new world we're living in. So this is him. Let me give you a bit of a background. He is a live streamer. He is the most popular live streamer in the world. His YouTube channel has 48 million subscribers. 48 million subscribers. It's a lot of fucking subscribers. This live stream alone captured 8 million people, and they were around for 5 hours and 44 minutes. Let me just see if I have it right. Yep, you guys got it. So just stay with me here and watch how this thing unfolds.
Yo, yo, yo.
Nose picking apparently is not a prerequisite to being popular.
Yo, 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 yo. Yo, yo, yo.
So he's seen the live stream on his phone.
W's in the chat. Spam up the W's in the chat. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, bro. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, crap, crap, crap. Hey, man. Hey, man. Listen. It's night in Korea right now. Bro, it's night in Korea. Listen. Everybody in the stream, we are on currently on number stream 13, no, stream 12 of the Speed Dust Africa tour. This is the 13th stream. We are literally halfway done throughout the tour. We're halfway on it and in and out on a tour. Anyways, today we got a big one, chat. Today we have a big and long one. A big and long one, y'all. We are here. We are here in Kenya. Woo. Chat, we are here in Kenya, bro. We are now live in here in Kenya, chat. We are freaking here in Kenya. My first time in Kenya, chat. I'm excited for today. I'm excited for what.
Oh, this isn't the one. Hold on. That's not the one. This is the one right here.
So we could even take that control.
My bad. This is the one. Sorry, he just did another one.
Bro, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Anyway, so let's turn up. Let's have a good stream today. Let's get lit and let's have some fun, baby. Earlier today, I went gorilla trekking in Rwanda. It was amazing. I made a video on it, and I'm going to post that video maybe tomorrow morning. But look, anyways, boys and girls, we are here. We are here.
What does he mean by this? Right, this is kind of a meta thing. Like, yeah, we are here in this place, but this is almost like a generational signal. We are here. This is our time.
In Rwanda, baby, let's go. We are here in Rwanda, y'all. We're gonna have some fun in Rwanda. Tell you about that. We're gonna have a great stream. We're gonna be doing plenty of activities today, chat. We got a good solid stream for y'all boys, chat. Again, I'm pushing the content, pumping the content day after day after day after another, y'all. We are here in Rwanda. Let's have a great time, y'all. We're working our way up towards the northern of Africa, chat. So we're just we're just working our way up. Anyways, y'all, we are here in Rwanda, y'all. Let's have some fun, bro. Let's go outside, bro. I'm not about to yap too much, bro. Let's go, bro. Let's go. Let's go, chat. I'm not about to even yap, y'all. Let's get out the car, y'all.
Be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to get very visceral.
These cars are not good for streaming, man. They very tight. Very tight.
Oh, bro. That's like the worst.
All right. Boy. Over the key on my phone. Let's go, chat. Oh, yeah, bro. You said what? Oh, this way? What's good, bro? What language y'all speak in Rwanda?
No English.
No English. Can they speak no English here?
I speak English. I speak English.
Huh?
I speak English.
You speak English?
Yeah, I speak English.
All right. What language y'all speak in Rwanda, bro?
I'm Ghanaian. So speak.
You what? What language y'all speak here?
English. Do you want to speak English?
No, what language do y'all speak here?
To speak it. Kinyarwanda. I'm speaking Rwanda. I'm Rwanda. You are Rwanda.
Man, this dude.
Speak.
Man, this dude. Huh?
I'm your friend.
You my friend.
Yeah, I'm Bob from here.
You my friend?
Yeah.
Oh, we friends now?
I'm friend on Instagram.
We friends on Instagram?
Yeah. Can I?
You see that? They're friends on Instagram. So in this guy's mind, they're automatically friends. Like, welcome to Pluto and Aquarius. This thing is about to blow your fucking mind.
Okay.
I'm a friend on Instagram.
I guess we friends on Instagram. Bro, you got a messy shirt, bro. You have a messy shirt. These kids got messy shirts. Well, I knew he was right here.
Yeah, right here, right.
Woo! Here in Rwanda. Oh my God.
Is he coked out?
Space. What you doing, yo?
And they all know who he is.
What's up,
Yo!
Rwanda, baby, we are here.
Yo, guys, give us some space.
Man, hey, bro, teach me a word in Rwanda. Huh? Yeah, what's the word in Rwanda?
Amakuru.
Amakuru? Amakuru. Good? Amakuro. 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 Mamakuro. 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 The hell is this? Hey. Back up. What the? Oh, this bike crazy. Get in the How do I drive this? Back up.
I have to change for you, my man. I have to change for you.
What do you got?
Yeah, I have to change for you. My name is Kagarara, bro.
Kagarara.
Say Kagarara. My name is Kagarara. Yes, I have to change for you.
What a challenge.
Yes, I'm not showing you. If possible, I'm not showing you to change I have for you.
You got what for me?
Yes, yeah.
What do you have for me?
Two challenge for you.
What challenge do you got?
Yeah, the first one to make push-up for you, my brother. Push-up, bro.
You want to do a push-up?
Yeah, my brother, I want to...
Come on. Wait, it's just me and him. Me and him doing a push-up. Wait, y'all.
Just I'm coming here.
No, me and him doing a push-up. Hold on. Okay. Hey. Nah, hell nah, bro. Hell nah. You want to keep. You wouldn't even give me. You didn't even give me a chance to warm up, though, bro. You was probably warming up the whole day. I have a chance to warm up.
Back.
Good game, though. Good game. The bear. What the hell? What is the bear doing? Hey, calm down. Calm down, bear. What is this bear on?
What's good, bro? I'm ready to challenge you.
Back up.
I'm ready to challenge you, bro. What's the shit, bro? I'll kill the shit.
What is he even saying? Nah, but what is he even saying?
I'll kill the shit.
What? What is he even saying?
I'll kill the shit.
What is he saying? Oh, what?
I'll kill this one.
What?
This is what I'm challenge you. Let's start you. What?
What?
I'll try to start you.
What?
No, start you. I'm going to challenge you.
You're not even saying
I'm going to challenge
nothing.
you, bro. You cannot win me. You cannot win me. I challenge you. Huh? I challenge you. Utambi.
This is it.
Utambi. Utambi.
Hey, back up.
Utambi.
Utambi.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hey, back up, homie. Back up. Back up. This man back up. What is Hey, back up! Back up! What is he about to do? What is he about to do?
Man, known as a strong man in the entire Rwanda. So they're trying to accelerate and then.
What is he? What is you drinking? What is that? Hey, Mate, he drinking piss. Yo. He owned it. He's holding too tight. He's holding too tight. No. What? Armstrong! Do it! Do it! Do it! Okay, y'all ready? Come on, go! 2, go! My name is Utambi! Utambi! Let's go!
All right.
Just pull
So
two fights.
this guy in human design, he's got to be a projector because the way that he feeds off the energy of this crowd isn't fucking insane. And eventually he winds up going to this stadium, this soccer stadium in Rwanda. And all these people are there for him. Now, the reason they know about it is because they watch him streaming. He is on this tour of Africa, and he's telling everybody where he's going to be. Clearly, he's got some support, which helps him with his events. Now, it's not a full stadium. A lot of people there. So they're going to have soccer games there. He's a soccer. How good he is, I don't know. But he's very into soccer, which is very Aquarian because the world is into soccer, or football. We call it soccer. So through football, through FIFA, through this World Cup, and his appreciation of soccer, he's got a whole other audience that he tapped into here. Right? So the other shit, you could not script that. And here we go. It's the cultural arts department. There to meet him. So one of the things that I think, and again, I'm kind of new to this guy's, world. I'm sure some of you, most of you are. But one of the things that makes this whole thing work is his ability to participate, right? And to throw himself into any milieu and kind of become this jacked up everyman. He reminds me of Chris Tucker, doesn't he? He's got a bit of a Chris Tucker vibe.
Hey, maybe you can help me do DJ out now. Try DJ out now. I think we good now.
Okay, I think you get the drift. This guy is super popular. If we go back to his website or the YouTube page.
Oh, we can even take that. Is that not?
Let's go back here. You can see the content. Live in Kenya. He's got these races. He races this guy in this powered recliner, riding the bus in Kenya. He's a gamer. This is where he gets his sort of popularity from. And he's sort of this notorious gamer. There is in South Africa. You've got shorts, you've got longs. He's sort of a Mr. Beast character, right? He's like the black Mr. Beast.
Would you be okay with me giving you a chair shot to the back?
So he's like this everyman in a weird way, but he's not, obviously. He goes to China for kung fu training. Cerebro of the Year, right? So all these, what I'm trying to establish here is that this guy is extremely popular and a really big deal globally. Now he's being pushed. Elon Musk has given him the highest level of Starlink so that he can stream anywhere. So he's got the white glove treatment from Elon. And it allows him to be this sort of globetrotter, right? Now he's got a bit of a weird background. There's a lot of like strange kind of sexual stuff that I don't really want to get into about him, but it's weird, right? Like, is he straight? Is he gay? Doesn't matter. He's definitely on kind of a millennial edge, not a millennial, a zoomer edge with his sexuality. And there's stuff that's happened where people have complained that he may have been physically or sexually abusive or something like that. I mean, these are things that I've picked up along the way, right? But clearly not enough for him to have his worldwide show canceled. Now, if you look at the sign of Aquarius, the ruling planet is Uranus. And Uranus, if you look into the tarot, there's a sign for every card in the major arcana. And there's a planet that rules every card in the major arcana as well. And Uranus rules the Fool because it is both the 0 card and the 22nd card. And this is what this guy is. He's a fool. And he'll put himself into any situation. Right? That's his whole thing. He'll put himself into any situation and do like anything within reason. Like here he is, you know, he's dancing with dancers in Botswana, doing kung fu in China, hanging out with the rabble in Rwanda. I mean, that scene is just bizarre. That was some Mad Max shit, wasn't it? And wherever he goes, he's got Zimbabwe, 3.2 million views. He's got a $14 million penthouse in New York City. So who's behind him? I mean, this is a question that I would ask. Just when you get into the Mr. Beast world, Mr. Beast was approached. Like, he even says he was approached by the quote unquote Illuminati. And he says that in a joking sort of way. But I do believe Mr. Beast is there. This is the new Hollywood. These are the new stars. And it's dominated by the sign Aquarius. Because it's not like, even if you're in Hollywood, let's go back in time. I could name you 7 actors during the 60s, early 70s, who were iconic, right? You had McQueen, you had Eastwood, you had Newman, maybe towards the end of Lee Marvin's run. You had somebody like Warren Beatty, who was starting to come on a little bit. Who else was really iconic during that time? De Niro's more 70s. You saw some of the old Hollywood stars, like John Wayne was still around in the 60s, still very iconic. You know what I mean? But there were maybe about 6 or 7, maybe 8 super A-listers in the 60s. And probably their equivalent to that in the 70s. And then the rest were sort of constellated around them. With this world of live streaming, TikTok, YouTube, it's a constellation of stars. And they actually have awards that they give out, the Streamies, you know, which none of us would recognize any of these people. You know, they show up on red carpets now. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because, number one, there's a sea change. Number two, this guy's at the top of the pyramid right now. And number three, let's take a look at his chart. Now, I don't have his time of birth, but I'm sort of messing around with it a little bit. So if you look at his chart, I got him as a double Aquarius. The sun in the first house because he's experiential. Like, that's what he does. And it sort of works out in some ways. Maybe a little bit later Aquarius. So perhaps that Mars shows up in his third house because he was like a competitive gamer, whatever, right? But I want you to pay attention to Pluto. Because in some ways, this is what a Pluto Sun conjunction looks like. And not only Pluto Sun, but Pluto Venus as well. Pluto Neptune, which is generational. I remember when there was a guy named Terrell once who played football for the 49ers, the Eagles, I believe the Bills and the Bengals. And there was a period, early 2000s, 2004, 2005, 2006, right around there, 2003, Terrell Owens was blowing up. He was, perhaps for that 3 or 4 year period, the most dominant player in the NFL. Very polarizing, and he would do things that were outrageous, right? Like when he scored a touchdown, he took out a piece of paper from his sock and he signed the piece of paper and he ran over to the stands and he gave the fan a piece of paper. Like he had the piece of paper, the notepad and his pen in his fucking socks. He was hated by other NFL players. He scored a touchdown one time in Dallas against the Cowboys, and he ran onto the star, right, in the center of Jerry World, and he held up his football. This is the old Cowboy Stadium that they played at in Irving, Texas. And he held it up. And he scored again, and he did it a second time. And there was this guy named George Kuntz who played safety for the Cowboys. And he ran and he tackled him because he didn't want anybody pissing on their star. Well, Terrell had Pluto on his sun. And I remember having this conversation with this woman who was on the 49er message boards, and she was into astrology. And I brought it up. I said, Terrell Owens has Pluto on his sun. And this is what happens. Like Pluto represents power. It's power. Pluto is power. It rules Scorpio. Scorpio is a power sign. And this guy has got Pluto on his freaking sun and has had it on for a while. The other person who has Pluto on her sun, and this is, I mean, he's not going to listen to me. Now, I'm not here to give him astrological advice. But he has the same Pluto sun transit as Caitlin Clark. And who was bigger than fucking Caitlin Clark 2 years ago? I mean, she went, when Pluto went retrograde over her sun, she was in trouble. Now, Pluto here has gone direct on this guy's sun. He's had some legal issues. He's done a few things that have not been all that family friendly. Let's put it that way. Okay. But when Caitlin Clark had Pluto retrograding back over her sun, we saw her collapse like a dark star, like a collapsed star. It's exactly what happened to her. Like the pressure, everything kind of got to her. Now, when Pluto comes, the WNBA season starts up again, she may ascend again because of this Pluto-Sun conjunction, and maybe she'll burn hotter and brighter than she did prior to that because of this retrograde. Maybe she learned something from it. I don't know. But that's where this guy is. He's got Pluto conjuncting his sun. He's a global fool, right? And he's right at that first degree of Aquarius, which means like it's big. Like it's a huge degree. It's fresh. It's got juice. And he's going through this Pluto. He's in fact, you can even, there are pictures of him. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. There's a picture of him where it's like a before and after. Let's see if I can find it. There's a picture. It's right here. There's him here, and then there's him here. That's Pluto. That's Pluto. That's the transformation of the body. Now, for all I know, he could be taking. So he looks like Chris Tucker's illegitimate kid, doesn't he? He's got such a Chris Tucker vibe. But that's Pluto, the transformation of the self, right? He goes from being kind of skinny, wiry, scrawny to cut, Pluto-Sun conjunction. Clearly, his life circumstances have transformed, and his body has transformed as well. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is I wanted to show you what, like I talked about Caitlin Clark when Pluto was on her sun. But it retrograded and we saw her crash. This is completely different. Completely and utterly different. And what it does is that back in the old days, when people saw movies in other countries, they wanted to go to Hollywood. They wanted to come to America. That was their dream because they saw this kind of unreal portrait of how this world was, for better or for worse. But now with the cell phone, it's set up a completely different relationship. First of all, just like I said at the beginning, like Hollywood has exploded. Well, this is one of the exploded bits coming out of Hollywood. It's this guy. Because there was a Chris Tucker path for this guy at one point in time. But that path isn't there anymore. And in a lot of ways, this is way more of an immediate capture. Way more of an immediate capture. Hollywood is, no, I'm not saying that he doesn't have backers or handlers. Everybody who's super, super successful has people behind them who are pushing the signal to noise, right? Everybody, including him. Even if it's just Elon Musk giving him like top grade Starlink to stream with. I mean, look at that signal. He's in freaking Rwanda and he's live streaming that signal. Live stream. There were 47 million people in his live stream. The video that he put up was 8 million people. So this is a new age. This is a new age. It is a new time. And it is a new media. This gets back to Marshall McLuhan. The media is the message. What do we see in the message up here? Well, I can tell you right now, it is a global village because this guy goes everywhere. Africa, China. He's probably not going to go to Gaza, but this is this is the message. And that the world is both simultaneously expanding and shrinking at the same time. Now, I don't know if he's going to continue to be this popular. Like, he can't be iShowSpeed forever. He's a shooting star. But for the time that he's a shooting star, it doesn't really matter. I guess the barking thing is part of his deal. All right, let's go back to his chart. Let's go back to his chart. See, that's the thing. With the internet, people have such short attention spans that you really only need to be popular for a couple of years, max. Because you can't, where do you go? I mean, there's more views available. Like if they were to put him on Nickelodeon, which they probably wouldn't, but let's say they wanted to put him on the Cartoon Network. Do you think he's going to get more views on the Cartoon Network or this YouTube streaming channel? Yeah, exactly. So where do you get, before you would say, okay, well, I'm going to be really popular and we'll use news anchors. You would go from being a local news anchor who was very, very good and having your talent be noticed by the people at network. And they would say, oh, this person would be really good on the network news. That's kind of how the game worked. And so the networks would generally pull from local talent and elevate them. This isn't how it works anymore. This is if you have the right persona, the right message, the right audience, the right optics, and the proper amount of bandwidth and people backing you. Because I guarantee you right now, right, one of the things that YouTube does is that the algorithm becomes self-generating. The more views, the more it shows up on feeds. The more views, the more it shows up on feeds. The more views, the more it shows up on feeds. And for YouTube, it is great for their advertising. Somebody gets 45 million. If you're a gaming company, you're paying YouTube a shit ton of money to get advertising spots on that show. A shit ton of money. So YouTube is invested in his success because the more views, the more ad revenue YouTube can come in. And if YouTube has an ideological stake in the game, even better. So what's being pushed or presented here, because he's this kind of global troubadour, is this face of globalism. Oh, it's not so bad. Look at this. Look at this. These people are real. They have lives. Oh, it's goofy. Oh, it's strange. Oh, I can relate to this. I can't. What they're theoretically doing here is grooming this next generation to not be nation-centric. And he's playing a huge role in this. Huge role. Massive role. I don't know if he knows that's the role he's playing. If I were him, I would keep it simple, stupid. Let's go back to his chart. Right there. Okay, so I was trying to figure out what would be a good rising sign for him. And I came up with either Pisces, Gemini rising, Sag rising, or Aquarius rising. But I went with double Aqua because he's there, right? It's not happening in a studio somewhere. It's like it's his experience. And he's got Mars and Aries, and you can see that, right? You can see the confrontational energy between him and those dudes that were challenging. He does these challenges, and you can see the confrontation. So he's willing to go there, right? He is willing to go there. He's willing to throw himself into the mix, throw himself into a crowd where chaos could happen. I mean, look, it's a good thing that those people love him, because there may be some people that may not like him, and he'd have to deal with the consequences of that, which would be Mars and Aries anyway, which would probably be picked up in part of the stream. He's got this Mars-Jupiter square, and the way that works is that he's willing to take on big challenges, right? When you get into a Jupiter square, I call it gambler's aspect. So he's willing to take risks. And he's got all these planets, Sun, Venus, and Neptune, all sextiling his Mars. So it's activated. He gets activated. And you saw him, he was almost inert when he was in that car. He's kind of getting fired up. But once he got out there, he got activated. Like he moved into that sextile. And again, I have no idea what his rising sign is. I just said double Aquarius. Throw him into action. This guy is he is not a non-action role player. Right? He's not. He clearly is not a background character. Although you could make a case that he was a background character that got animated and brought into existence. LARP, live action role player, right? It's not a LARP. Let's take a look at Saturn. He's got Saturn in Gemini. And the reason why I didn't have him as a Gemini rising was because you would see somebody with Saturn in the first house do this. They would be much more constrained, much more of a rule follower. This guy is not a rule follower. He's not a rule follower. In fact, he got his cred. We'll call it cred. He got his cred as a streamer, and he was abusive. He would yell insults at people, and apparently it made him quite popular, although it got him banned off of Twitch and some other streaming platforms. And that's the Sun, Venus, Neptune, or sextile. But you wouldn't see that behavior in somebody with Saturn in the first house. But all those planets, including Mercury, they're all in trine with Saturn. This guy could be around for a while. He could be around for a while. That's sort of long term. I don't know where he goes from. I mean, it takes people years. Like, that is fucking Elvis Presley, Beatles style energy. It takes people. Well, the Beatles got there fast. Maybe that's just it, man. Maybe it's just the crack of the lightning. But generally speaking, it takes people some time to get up to. Look at all those crappy albums Pink Floyd put out before they hit it out of the park with Dark Side of the Moon. Now, they're not all crappy. Some of them are okay. But a lot of them are very self-indulgent. But I think we can all agree that Dark Side of the Moon is the pinnacle of Pink Floyd. It might be the pinnacle of even sort of the 70s rock and progressive rock and all that stuff. But they had to work a while to get there. Donald Trump didn't become president until later in life. He had to spend, 13 seasons on The Apprentice or whatever to rebuild his image and his bank book and his popularity. But this guy's 2 years. 2 years. 3 years. Started doing this in 2022. Now, when I also see Saturn, I see it as sort of the hidden hand in some ways. Right? Like, the behind the scenes, behind the curtain, people that are kind of pushing the chariot forward. And he's got a team, and they work on ideas and all kinds of shit. I mean, that's going to be part of the whole query. He's just not stumbling around the world. But I'm telling you, this Pluto conjunction, and what's interesting about him is that he's also got Uranus in Pisces. So he's like a later Gen Zer. He is not the same as Gen Z that has Uranus in Aquarius and Neptune in Aquarius. They all show up around 2003. That's when Uranus goes into early 2003. And late 2002, early 2003, Uranus goes into Pisces. And so the Gen Zers that show up after that, they're different. They're not the same as, they share Pluto and they share Neptune, but they have kind of different operating systems with Uranus. And clearly this guy, Uranus and Pisces, I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. Like, what is really the secret sauce of Uranus and Pisces? And I think the secret sauce is that anything goes. Like, Uranus is kind of out there and wild and a maverick energy. It's definitely on the rebellious side. But in Aquarius, let me see if I can make a distinction of this. I'll give you Uranus and Aquarius example. Nick Fuentes, Uranus and Aquarius. The Nick Fuentes is rebellious. I don't care how much of a Catholic he thinks he says he is. He's rebellious. You don't get to be Nick fucking Fuentes, even if you're sheep dipped. Some people believe that, without being rebellious. To constantly talk about Jews and Jewish power and do it in a way where it's matter of fact, to go beyond where no one has really gone before, and I believe that to be true, you got to be rebellious. Uranus in Pisces, I don't think cares about being rebellious. Uranus in Pisces, to me, he definitely represents that. Look where that true node is. Right? That true node is in conjunction with Uranus. And that is throwing himself into the miasma. The miasma being Pisces. You know, when I see those images, it's just like this roiling sea of flesh, right? That is just, you know, this uncontrollable sort of, you know, tides and eddies. You know, I mean, maybe that's not even an apt description, but it's a miasma. There's nothing controllable about it. And it's throwing himself into the miasma that is the key. But I think that's what sets Uranus. Uranus in Pisces is less rebellious than Uranus in Aquarius. But they have a different, strange kind of magic, right? He's got his true node in Gemini. So he's got multiple names. Speed, I show Speed. He's got his birth name. I think he's got another name called, is it Harry Butler? Is that his other name? John Bobby. So he has John Bobby, Speed, I show Speed, and Darren Watkins as his alter egos. True node in Gemini. Do you think he's hitting his true node? He's certainly pulling from the South node by being global. He's a gamer. He's a streamer, right? For me, gaming is very Gemini. It's super, because you want to get 2-3 moves ahead of people, right? That's Gemini shit. That's Trump in 5D chess. I think this kind of works. You know, true node, 5th house, Gemini, pastimes, games, recreation. Yeah, I think it works. He is not very grounded, is he? He's got Moon in Aries, anoretic, squaring off against Sun, Venus, Neptune. I think that's a little self-destructive. He could have emotional outbursts that could derail him, but with Mars and Aries, the guy will keep on going. He's got what? No Earth. Minor. Chiron, Pallas, Vesta. That's it. That's it. He's got Pallas and Capricorn. So when you see somebody that doesn't have any Earth, what are they? They're just going to detach, and they're going to be sort of in the mix in space, like they're everywhere. Like they don't need to be grounded. Like this guy is better off doing what he's doing versus, you know, trying to sort out his life and find a 401k somewhere. And again, it feels to me like there's this guy named Aiden Ross. And Aiden Ross is an interesting character. He's sort of a celebrity whisperer, right? Aiden Ross I believe he interviewed Kanye when Kanye came out with all the crazy shit. He interviewed Puka Nacua, and he got Puka Nacua to do the Happy Merchant dance after he scored a touchdown. Puka Nacua plays for the LA Rams. And he interviewed this guy, Speed. And I think he's got more than just an interview relationship with Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross could be pushing him. He could be playing the handler role, quite possibly. He's born in 2000, so he's 2 years younger than the Speed character. Yeah, Mars and Aries. You can just see that. That is Mars and Aries energy, right? The fucking push-up contest. I mean, it doesn't get more mano a mano than doing a push-up contest with a swole midget. Is he a dwarf? I think he's a dwarf. A swole dwarf. Midgets are just really small people. That guy was a dwarf. I think midgets are rarer than dwarves. I'd have to ask. Let's see. Let's find out. We're going to find out. Are midgets rarer than dwarves? Let's see. I'm getting scolded for this. The term midget is considered, so it's a small person, is considered offensive, while dwarfism refers to various medical conditions causing short stature under 4'10". Achondroplasia. That's what dwarves have. Midget is an outdated and offensive term. What do you say? Are small people? Let's try that. I'm getting scolded by AI. Yes, generally. They were okay with it. Yes, generally. People with dwarfism, are much rarer than people. I'm wrong. I guess I don't know. It depends. Small people can refer to themselves as dwarfs and vice versa. I'm from another fucking century. I'm just from another century. Anyway, I wanted to show you what Pluto conjunct Aquarius looks like in real time, IRT. That's what it looks like. And again, being that Aquarius is at 1 degree, 19 minutes, it's almost in that full card territory. Clearly, if we're playing with cards, it would be an ace, right? Or a magician. He'd be the magician for playing with the major arcana. So somewhere between the fool and the magician. But this is what it looks like. What it does is it gives us a very different picture of the world. So before with Hollywood, right, it was like the cameras were this way, and then the pictures were distributed and broadcasted. Now the camera is this way, and then the pictures are distributed and broadcasted. Do you understand what I'm saying? You could go back in time, and if somebody, let's say you were, I don't know, let's say you were, we'll go apples to apples here. Let's say you were Sidney Poitier, and you were in Africa in 1972. And some guy from Africa walked up to you who happened to be black and said, I am your friend. And not in the sense that, hey, I am your friend. We were friends, we're all friends with Jesus. He would have known what that meant. I am your friend. But in this guy's mind, because of Instagram, they were friends. He gets Instagram videos from him. There was no distinction between being an Instagram friend and a friend. That is different. That is really different. Now, I ask you, is there anything wrong with that? Like, I think on the universal level, great, I got a bunch of friends I've never met. Hey, I'm your friend. We're friends. We're friends on Twitter. I'm your friend. We're friends on Twitter. Oh, yeah, right. I get it now. Is the world going to move more in that direction? Now, you can say he's just some dumb motherfucker in Africa who doesn't understand that Instagram doesn't really mean. He's like, friends? We're friends? Or maybe he's just ignorant. Or maybe this is how this media affects the brain, just in general. And I think there's something really interesting about the horizontal presentation, like on the streets with people, part of the crowd, right? It's not elevated. Like the person isn't on a stage. They're not looking down. They're not up here and everybody else is down there or out there. Aquarius is a horizontal relationship with, I would say, by and large, consensus reality. Leo, on the other hand, is not. Why? Because we always look up at the sun. We're always looking up, right? Looking up at the sun, even if it's on the horizon, our glance is still elevated. If for a brief period of time in the morning and at the evening, we have a very brief horizontal relationship with the sun, that we're at an equal plane or equal axis with the sun. But for the most part, we look up to it during the day and during the night. We have another relationship. It's lunar, it's with the moon, it's different. But we're just talking about the sun, Leo, Uranus, Aquarius. We can't even see Aquarius, Uranus. So that's the difference between these two modalities. Aquarius is horizontal. Aquarius is omnidimensional. Aquarius is everywhere and nowhere. And it feels like sometimes people can have handlers, but they may not be able to withstand the pressure. Like this guy had Pluto opposing his sun, Pluto conjuncting his sun in retrograde, pretty much the same time Caitlin Clark did. And while Caitlin Clark became kind of this universal figure, like Caitlin Clark could go anywhere and people would know who Caitlin Clark was. But Pluto tore her down. And not every milieu is going to be the same. Right? Caitlin Clark found herself in an ideological rock fight, an ideological cat fight. And the claws came out on these gals in the WNBA, and they didn't like her. And they beat her up. And they would beat her up in games, they'd beat her up in press conferences. And I remember she had to take the knee, metaphorically speaking. And then the weight of carrying the WNBA was too great for her. It was too great for her. You could see that she was losing it. She was losing her temper. She got hurt. Pluto was too much. She collapsed in on her. This guy is not the same. He's already gone through the Pluto retrograde. And this is what we're seeing. Now, he's going to have Pluto-Venus conjunction. He's got it now. It's going to be very, very magnetic, very charismatic. I don't really find him charismatic. But when he's in the crowds, again, I got to think this guy's a projector. Because projectors can really amp the energy of people. And that's what he's doing. He's just amping and recirculating. And he's got a strange kind of maniacal meets deer in the headlights look. And there's nothing, I don't think, like super elevated about it, at least from the content side of things. But from an experiential side, like he's not, he's not a proponent of big ideas and, oh man, we got to change this place. No, he's there to experience the place. He's there to experience the people and these little events that they set up in, I guess you could say, script form, although he's going to be in a fairly unscripted environment. He's not there to bring social change. You understand what I'm saying? He's there to be immersive in the experience and be a part of it. And that's where sort of the ideological side of, now he may come out later and say, I mean, if you were a nonprofit or you were, let's say Warren Buffett or, I don't know, Bill Gates or somebody like that, you would want this guy as a spokesperson for something, some, agenda, some program. You'd want him for something because he has a built-in audience and you could leverage that easily. And he could say, well, I'm in a position of power. I could use my leverage. Be the worst thing you could do. The best thing you do is just show up and bark and go nuts and do all these different experiences. It's the best thing you can do. And to be in the moment. And I'm sure he sits back and reflects like, holy shit, look at me. I used to be little Jordan Watkins, Darren Watkins. I used to be little Darren Watkins, growing up in Cincinnati. I used to buy comic books and play video games. Look at me now. I wouldn't blame him if he did that. And again, I don't care whether he's being handled or pushed along. You got to have something in the chart that is reflective of sort of the moment of time. And it's Pluto. It's clearly Pluto. And it brings us to this idea of the world that's coming, right? What is the world that's coming? Is it more like the vibrant and barely containable energies that we're seeing through that lens? Is that the world that's coming? Are we going to cash in on Walt Disney's It's a Small World After All, but in a very different kind of way? I mean, Mr. Beast does this all the time. He goes to Africa. The difference with Mr. Beast is that he likes to make social change. He's got handlers. I don't know a whole lot more about Darren Watkins, other than he's had some strange, weird sex shit show up, some abusive stuff show up, banned from certain streaming platforms, and he's the largest, most powerful live streamer on the freaking planet. That's what I know about him. And I know that he's got Pluto on his sun, and he's got Pluto on Venus, and that's charisma, that is popularity. I think this guy is, unless something happens to him with Pluto, which is possible, I don't think it will, though. That this guy is going to be, you're just hearing about him now, but globally, his numbers outrank Candace Owens. And I'm not dissing Candace, right? But they're not even close. Not even close. So if you have Pluto on your sun during this Aquarian time, don't stress. Am I going to die? Is my light going to be snuffed out? No. What you're going to have to deal with is power. And you're going to have to deal with the transformational nature of that power. And the more open you are to it, through the modality of Aquarius, and there's many different ways that manifests, the more that power will surge through you. We're living in an Aquarian time. Clearly an Aquarian time. And it's going to get even more Aquarian, which leads me to my next little piece here. No one will enter the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation. This comes from David Spangler. I don't know if David still believes this. I actually spent a week in Wisconsin at this, I don't think it's there anymore. It was called High Wind, and it was an intentional community. When I graduated from college, I went on a tour of intentional communities through the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. I went to High Wind, Sirius, and Findhorn. They were all Findhorn related. Very magical. Best thing I ever did, worst thing I ever did. I can't really get into the reasons why, but I had my mind blown. And that was one of the aftershocks. Right? When you come, when he talks, I guess there was like a Frank Baum book about when Dorothy came back from Oz. I came back from Oz. And it was fucking hard. It was hard. I went through depression when I took 3 months and went on a magical mystery tour, which is really what it was. So for the first week at High Wind, David Spangler was there. And I had read one of David's books, and it was about the New Age. And I really liked David's style of writing. He was clear. He was concise. He had big ideas, but they were also sort of at times metaphorical. And that quote comes from the book that I read. And I understood it from my perspective at that time, because I was really into this whole idea of the New Age. Man, once the New Age, I had Neptune transiting Jupiter in my chart in Sagittarius in my first house. I was all over that shit. And at that time, there was nothing really new about the New Age. What it was a synthesis of a lot of old age beliefs or old age practices. So it was a syncretic practice. And you had things like yoga, Taoism, Tai Chi, macrobiotics. I mean, these were all things, Sufism, sacred dancing, Native American traditions and wisdom, sweat lodges. They were all part of this cosmology. And I went through that portal and I experienced all of them. All of them. And when I read that in David's book, I understood it. And I understood this idea of Lucifer from a different sort of position that I have now after I've done an immense amount of study, and I still understand it. But it's I think the Luciferian initiation is very much related to the left-hand path. That's my experience. The Luciferian initiation is, in many ways, do as thou wilt. It's different than satanic. It's different. The satanic initiation is bondage. It's bondage and it's dungeons and it's power. It's different. Lucifer is the air. It's this idea that we can be God. That's Lucifer, a fallen angel. He's part of the constellation of heaven. He comes from heaven. And he's like, I'm here to bring knowledge. I can't leave here. I'm trapped here, but I'm here to bring you knowledge. And I talked about this on Friday's show or Thursday show. And I don't really want to get into it too much, but so I understood that Lucifer was this concept. And in order to break the chains of organized religion, which I did not like, and if we were going to create something new on the grave of something old, which was the limited death cult of Christianity, that this was the path and that you had to get through that, right? You had to become illuminated. That's what the Luciferic Initiation. So I got it. I understood it. I understood it from a Gnostic perspective as well. And it sent me ultimately down about 20 years of the left-handed path in my own way. And I learned a lot. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot. But ultimately, that was not my path, right? You take what you find along the way and you integrate it. You integrate it. You know, Jason Whitlock, whom I like most of the time, is a Christian. I can tell you right now that that guy has taken what he's learned and still uses it in his life and still applies it, even though, you know, he's not a Bible thumper. Jason Whitlock took his own little journey down the left-hand path. So I get this. However, I also believe that there are people who not just get it, but they firmly believe it, and they see themselves as part of a Luciferian order that is exalted and rules the planet. So in Theosophy, which has a very Luciferian arc to it, there's this thing called the externalization of the hierarchy. And the externalization of the hierarchy occurs when the world teacher has arrived, and that these sacred traditions, which were developed in Tibet and in India, and Theosophy has a very strong foothold still in India to this day, that these teachings would then become known to everybody. And Alice Bailey and all of her books are the library for these teachings. Take it for what you will. In Theosophy, there is something called the Great White Brotherhood. And the Great White Brotherhood is this idea that there are ascended masters, and that the ascended masters become the channelers or the distribution channels of the various rays of light. So, for instance, Saint Germain is the violet flame. So Saint Germain becomes the world teacher, the administrator of the color violet and everything that is distributed out from that. And each of the, like I think Kuan Yin, might be Pink, I forget. I used to be really well versed in this stuff. But you have El Morya, you have Kuan Yin, you have Saint Germain, you have Jesus, you have all these ascended masters, and they all work to hold everything together, right? And be the principal refractors of the 7 rays or the 12 rays, depending on which system you're in. So the externalization of the hierarchy represents the arrival of the teacher, the world teacher, But it's not just the arrival of the world teacher, it's the arrival of the ascended masters. And the ascended masters begin to make their presence known. And they can make them known either as themselves or through other people. That somebody could be the earthly manifestation of Saint Germain or Kuan Yin or whatever. And they're able to demonstrate certain abilities and powers that would set them apart from others. And it's at that time that the world would then become part of a new world order, that countries and boundaries would be irrelevant, and that we would then be part of a global community that would now be in the early stages of ascension. This is what it's all about. And this is what this quote by David Spangler talks about. And that the Luciferian initiation is the reception of light. That's the Luciferian initiation. Now, it may be a lesser light or maybe a false light, but that's what he's talking about. Now, I'm of the mind, and I could be completely and utterly wrong on this point, but I am of the mind that we are very close to the Luciferic initiation. And let me show you why I believe that to be true. It all has to do with Pluto. And I started to talk about this on Thursday. And then I brought it up again at the end of the show with Russ on Friday. But I want you to pay very close attention to all these asteroids and planets here. You have Juno in Capricorn, which represents fertility and birth. It is the most fecund and fertile of the asteroids, and it's connected to the month of June. You have at the end of this stellium Vesta, which has just moved into Aquarius, which is the oldest of the asteroids. So you have the youngest to the oldest, from the root to the fruit. We get the word Vestal Virgin out of Vesta, investments. It is shaped like a V, and it's about long-term planning. It's about the end of your life, the conditions around the end of your life, and what do you invest in. And this is the eternal flame which guides us. It is the eternal flame of what? Illumination. And it's right there just sitting off the coast of Pluto. And what's going to happen with all of these planets and asteroids? They are all going to go through Pluto, one after another. And they are going to receive the Luciferic initiation. Right here. So I would say that this idea of the Luciferic initiation is at hand. Because when I think of Aquarius, I think of Lucifer. I do. Lucifer is the God figure of the New Age. He takes this perennial wisdom from the stars, from the heavens, and brings them down to the people below. And there are a number of stories which I've talked about. Enki and Enlil. Let's just talk Enki and Enlil. They're half brothers. And they come from the stars. And what does Enki do? He theoretically, biologically, genetically engineers humans and gives them, in some ways, the power of the gods. By the way, we just lost Eric von Daniken, who was really the first guy who jumped on that. And I remember watching Chariots of Gods as a kid, and it fucking blew my mind, changed my world. You know, every now and then I run into somebody who grew up around the same time I did, and they'll relate the same story, that they sat down and watched Chariots of the Gods, and there was the sequel to that with their fathers, and it sent me and my father off into that world. I was like, what, 13? I was 13 when I first saw that. And I was so immersed in it. And I was, we were looking at biblical stuff and talking about Ezekiel and all that stuff. My father was really into it. Then I actually gave a talk to my class in the 8th grade. And we were doing, at that time, we moved from one, you had your homeroom, you moved from one class to another, right? And I was in my, I think, social studies class. And the guy that ran that class was a fucking total Marxist. Total Marxist. He wanted getting fired because he wanted getting high with some of the kids. His name was Sanchez, Mr. Sanchez. We used to go at it, man. We used to argue all the time. And I would take the conservative position all the time. And I'd argue the shit out of that guy. So I gave this talk during class. And then the guy who was in the class for the next class was Dave Latham, who was a super nice dude. And he wanted to know if I could give the same talk during his class. I said, sure. So I tried to give that talk again. And it was, I think it was better the first time. But Enki is part of this story. You get these stories of brothers and twins, and their creation stories. Thor and Enki. Enki's Thor's half-brother. Notice how Enki and Loki, Thor and Loki. Notice how Loki and Enki or Enki sound alike, and they're both half-brothers. So the story is that Yahweh and Lucifer terraformed the planet. And Lucifer was a half-brother. And Lucifer, so I'm having a weird thought that I have to complete. So the first place they land is Lemuria. And Lemuria is inhabited by like these proto-humans who have great agility and strength and can do all this shit, right? But they don't have separate and individual consciousness. They're somewhere between a human and an animal. And apparently the landing party, the Syrians, kind of abused them. They were kind of abusive. And Lucifer took them under his wing. And he started to genetically engineer them, just like Enki did. And he turned them into upright thinking, feeling, individual-oriented consciousness. And then he falls in love with his creations. And he says, we got to get out of here. Let's go start our own place, which is Atlantis. So he becomes the creator god of Atlantis. That's where it all starts. So in that regard, Lucifer is breaking sort of the cosmic law. He's intervening. He's turning humans into perhaps something that the prime creator did not intend them to become. I'm just giving you a story. Whether you believe it or not, that's up to you. So falls from the sky, right? Maybe not alone, brings the knowledge of the stars to the earth, and then genetically modifies people or these beings, and then creates Atlantis. Eventually, dies because he's not immortal. But by that time, Atlantis was in trouble. And it was the abuse of the crystal, right? And that started to happen. But it's important. It's important because we get an idea or picture of how this thing evolves, right? How it evolves. Now, what would it look like if there were to be some kind of, first of all, let's just look at the timeline. Let's do a quick assessment of the timeline. So what we're looking for is something that demonstrates that all these planets move past 3 Aquarius, right? Well, we know that the sun will move past 3 Aquarius when it's at 4 Aquarius. And that's going to be, oh, that is so wild. That is so wild. I'm going to share this with you guys. Check this out. So normally this doesn't really happen. But we got 157 for Aquarius, 258 for Aquarius, 359 for Aquarius, and then we go to 5. Like 4 is not even there. But over here, we have Pluto at 328. So we know that even here at 3, but there is no 4. That's fascinating. So the 24th, the sun will have gone through Aquarius. Venus gets there earlier, right? Venus is going to be on the 23rd. Is it? No, Venus is on later on the 20th. Mercury, which is speeding up, is on the 23rd. And then Mars is a bit later. Mars is on the 29th. Now, I don't know when Juno is going to be later because the asteroids move slower. But Pallas will have passed that up by then. So really what we're talking about here is even the moon. Like the moon is part of that as well. So on the late on the 19th, we've got the moon moving past 3 Aquarius Pluto, the sun moving past 3 Aquarius Pluto on the 24th. So we have that on the 19th, the 24th, the 23rd, the 27th. The 27th. So sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and then ultimately Juno. We'll go with those 4. So by the 28th, we'll go by the 28th of January. So we're talking 17 days out. All the inner planets that are connected to the old world, Capricorn, hierarchies, governments, the old order, they are all simultaneously passing through Pluto in Aquarius, which I believe is the Luciferic Initiation. Now, what that looks like, it could mean a lot of things. The world, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but certain parts of the world are heating up. And it seems like the water's just boiling. It's just starting to boil. So we have Venezuela, we have the Somalia thing, we've got ICE, and we've got Iran, which is close to going full tilt. I mean, things are boiling. And at some point, and I think we're getting very close here, it's a tipping point. Something is coming that we all experience simultaneously. Kind of like COVID, but faster. We all experience it simultaneously. And what it does is it puts the old world order to bed. And for better or worse, this idea of the new world order, the new age, the age of Lucifer, the age of individual enlightenment, every man and woman is a star, a god. It is coming. Now, it may not look that way initially. It may be a leveling of the playing field where everybody is completely equal. That would be economic, by the way. That would be an economic effect. That would be the one thing that would change everything overnight for the entire globe. Hey, you're all starting off at zero again. Well, most of you are. And we're going to reallocate resources. And everybody's on a social credit score. And everybody gets to start at the starting line together. And that's the one lament that you hear from people who are into identity politics. Some people in this lifetime, they got an early start, and other people are way back. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the playing field and the starting line equal, to horizontal the shit out of everybody. And again, if you look at Aquarius is, I try to illustrate this. It's a horizontal sign. It's omnidimensional, omnidirectional, sure, but it's horizontal. It's about, your fellow man or your fellow human, your teammate. We're all on the same team. That's Aquarius. If you're all on the same team, then there's a horizontal effect. And there can be people on the team that are stars, but at every given time, you got to be a good teammate because they may call your number. So the financial thing would be the one thing that would flip the clock. And we'd all start at, year zero, day zero. I don't think that happens maybe for the end of 2027. I could be wrong. But that's one iteration of it. Another iteration is a global event that ties us together in some ways. And that feeds into everyone's emotions and consciousness. And that we know that whatever happens, we're not in the same world anymore. We're not living in a world that is defined by hierarchies and boundaries. And again, I can't tell you what this thing is, but I can tell you it's coming. And it's happening, and it's happening by the end of the month. And we could be talking here at the beginning of February. I could be completely wrong. And I'd be happy with that. Right? I'd be happy with it. Because usually when something like that happens, it's not always good. It's like, well, guess what? It's going to be better than it was. We're going to show you how much better the world can be now. That's how I see it. And it will incentivize people to play along with the game. Now, one of the things that I think, if we bring this back to I Show Speed, is that whatever the model of the new world is, it will resemble a game. So if you want tokens or credits, it'll be a game-like experience. Whether it's Ready Player One with those kinds of optics, and you're on Oculus, or you have to earn your credits or tokens by doing certain things, it's going to be game-like. This is why I Show Speed is being promoted. Because if the world to come looks more like a Twitch channel or a game, first of all, theoretically, you're going to get more people who have been indoctrinated and initiated into game world more than willing to play. I'll play that world. That's my world. I know this world. I could totally see that. But on the other hand, there's going to be people like, fuck that. I want 33 records. I want 45s. I want cash. I want to own my own money. That world is not for them. So this thing, there's a line in the sand. There's a demarcation. And the whole idea will be to make this new world fun. We'll make it fun. You think that we'll all be kind of drudging around in chains and eating our goy slop. That may be true for some of us, but they're going to make the world so fun. Do you remember when they had the augmented reality version of Pokemon and how many people had their phones and were looking for fucking Pokemon in the world? Right? That was kind of a test. And that this augmented reality where there's a blur, like there's a blur between this guy and his streaming and the world and his, I'm sure they'll come up with a video game of him and you can play him in the video game. I mean, that's not very far behind. But that's the model for the new world. The new world is going to be a video game. And you'll see yourself as a character in a video game. And if they go full VR, Oculus, augmented reality, you could be anybody. You don't have to be yourself. You could work your way up the ladder and be fucking Ultron. And you're not really Ultron, but other people may see you as that. And then they see, how many tokens you have and all these powers that you have. Your powers could be, you could go anywhere, do anything. You don't need a passport, right? You have unlimited social credit. Like, I want to be like that person. That's what I want to do. And then so people are engineered to play the game. And that's what they're already doing. They're being engineered to play the game. And I'm not here to diss video games. If you want to play a video game, play a video game. Have fun. Get into it. Enjoy it. Whatever. I was never a big video gamer. Although I did have a run with Madden for a while. Madden and Wii. I kind of got addicted. I had to put Madden away. It was taking up too much of my time. But this is where this is headed. And that's why I think this guy has been promoted. And challenges, like there are these challenges. And like this one guy beat him in the push-up challenge. He wanted a reward. That's what he wanted. He wanted a reward. And that's what he does. All along the way, he does these challenges. Well, what does your challenge say? Your challenge is to get your blood pressure down by 10. How do I do that? Oh, I got to take these drugs, these meds, these beta blockers. You keep going. You report your blood pressure online. It's going down, going down, going down. And it says if you can sustain that for 30 days, you'll get X. Oh, I did it. I played that game. I achieved it. Maybe they've got a game to slow your brain down, to bring you into some kind of, delta state or something like that. That's how I see it. The world will become a video game. And that's how they're going to get people involved in doing it because they've been doing it. They have been doing it. They understand it. And if you reward people enough, they won't care whether that reward is physical or digital because they've already been conditioned, right? There's something in the brain where it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Like they have these slot machines now in Vegas, where when you hit a jackpot, the lights will go off, but it doesn't, all the coins don't spit out, right? You get a credit slip. And you take that credit slip to the cashier. Now, the cashier could give you cash, or if you have like a Harris card or something, you can put it on your card. And now it just stays in house until finally, when you leave, you say, give me my cash. I'm just giving you an example that it's already being done. So something has to occur in order to bring people into that world. And I feel like we're close. I could be completely wrong and say, you know what? Chalk it up. I was wrong. So I think, again, it's happening during Aquarian season too. I think we need to keep our eyes on this and just watch these world events happening, because they are speeding up rapidly. Like, Trump wants nothing to do with any of the Epstein stuff. Nothing. He wants nothing to do with any of the Charlie Kirk stuff. We're all sitting around here trying to piece Charlie Kirk, or, be speed bumps in the way of the information highway, or in the information highway, to fucking finish the Epstein thing. Meanwhile, the system and the machine is a fucking steamroller, and it's just moving forward. And these events are now steamrolling. There are unintended consequences to the events. But I don't think any regime, including this one, has ever thought that chaos was bad. Chaos is Aquarian. Trump he's a master magician of chaos. It's what he is. Everything that's kind of going on out there around the world is in many ways a byproduct of Trump and his decisions, his will. And he could be being fed everything from people that I believe have usurped the government and are driving foreign policy. But nonetheless, he is the channel. He is the prism that it's going through. And at the end of the day, he may flip the tables and be the ultimate fool, right? And show everybody who was trying to manipulate him and play him that, hey, I'm holding all the cards. I am the one who is in charge of the order. And you thought that I would be the person who would just do all these things and set these things in motion so you could be in charge of the order. Order ab chao, right? Order out of chaos. And Trump is creating chaos. But at the end of the day, maybe he's the guy that flips the tables. I don't, yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. But on the other hand, I think he's deeply compromised. And I also feel like he's not well. So then the alternatives are the Elon Musks of the world, right? It's the technocrats. And I guarantee you the technocrats know a thing or two about video gaming, psychology, programming, and reward. Now, there's always unintended consequences. And it may be one of those things where, we got Uranus in Gemini not far away, and that we could be living in very separate worlds, or worlds that are very disconnected from one another. There's a very good possibility around that. In fact, I would stake my claim on it. But that doesn't mean that the majority or the paradigm of the majority will not have changed. That the Overton window for reality will have really shifted. And that we're staring at a brave new world. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. We are going to have to deal with it at some point. And it may be one of those things that just brings us closer together in an unintended set of consequences sort of way. All right. So we're going to keep our eye out for the 27th of January. That's really the sort of the. Now, I could theoretically put Juno in there. Let me see if there's an asteroid ephemeris. Hold on. Yeah, let's check this out. Hold on. Okay, so this has Juno in here. Let me just look at this. Juno's at 4 cap. Let's go out and go to 25. Let's see what happens. Okay, let me go back to Juno. Okay. Let's go to 425. Hold on. What's month? 4, there we go. Okay. So somewhere in April, let's go April 1st. We're almost there. Bear with me. Okay. So in 411, Juno is at 3 Aquarius. And remember, Juno is the last planetoid to pass through Pluto in Aquarius. That would be the final outlier because it's part of that mix right now. So this would be the tail end of everything. And Juno would be the beginning, something new, right? And it's happening in April, Aries season. So even if we get to the 27th of January, the final piece doesn't assemble itself until the 11th, 4/11, the 11th of April. Okay. I just wanted to be complete about that. All right, we've been here for 3 hours. A lot longer than I thought we would. I'm going to get out of here. Don't forget, I have a special on my website, and I hope you avail yourself of it. Look, it's not going to be the end of the world, right? But something's coming. Something's happening that puts us a lot closer to this idea that we're not in Oz anymore, that we are in a strange new world, a brave new world. It's coming, and it's significant. And it doesn't take you out of the game. You're still in the game. And things can also go haywire and awry, right? Something could happen and it could completely backfire, which is also very much part of the Aquarian tale. Like things that start off intentional with Aquarius don't always end up that way. So whatever happens could also be quite beneficial. It could help wake people up. The seamy underbelly can be exposed. I mean, that's also how, part of the job description for Aquarius. So don't say, oh, the world's over. I'm just going to go drive into the garage and, tape my hose to my tailpipe. No, it's not going to be quite like that. What I'm saying is that something's going to happen that is an initiatory moment that takes us from the paradigm that we've been in to the beginning of a new paradigm. For better or worse, it's coming. And that's what I have to say about it. And that doesn't mean you're out of the game. There's one thing that I talk about with people with the outer planets when they are active in your chart. Pluto's the toughest because there's no surrender. Well, that's just it. There is a surrender. I mean, there's no negotiating with Pluto. There's no negotiating. You're going to go through it, all the highs, lows. You're either going to be transformed into something, intense and powerful and more powerful than you ever thought you were, or it will grind you to dust. Right? It's the Phoenix. Most people come through, they come out of it, and they say, thanks. I didn't really need that home with all those material belongings, right? They were weighing me down. I'm free now. I'm liberated. I have nothing. That would be very Plutonian. Neptune, you surrender. You just surrender. So I'm a surrender. God, get me through this. Show me what I need to do. I'm going to put my will aside here. I'll surrender. Uranus, if you're creative, you can make use of Uranus transit, whether it's on your ascendant or on your sun. Uranus demands that you be creative. If you're not creative, if you don't come up with a creative solution, Uranus can be very destructive and even self-destructive. So use that energy to create something. And I went there because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. So you're a participant in all of this. You're not a bystander. You're not. You're a participant in this. And through your own creative action and your own creative will and your ability to channel chaos, whatever it looks like, there's energy there. One of the things that happened during COVID is I got a tremendous amount of energy out of COVID. It was like, this is on. And it was this event which seemed really dark and depressing and felt like, this is it, man. They're going to lock us up for fucking ever. I was energized by that. I had to go through some fear around it. And I wasn't always, John fucking Wayne. I had to face some fears around it. But once I faced them, that was it. I was done. I'm all in. And that's what really propelled me to stream through that time. It was like, this is the energy. And so I'm sharing that with you because energy is energy. And it's what you do with it. It's how you channel it. And there's a ton of it right now on its way in Aquarius. So whatever happens as those planets pass through Pluto, just remember, you're a part of the process. You're not inert, right? You have energy. And what you do, and most of you are generators anyway. So you can respond to it. You just respond to it in your, fantastic, wonderful generator sort of way. All right. I'm out of here. Thanks for being here. Chat, you're always the best. Mods, thank you for doing what you do. If you feel like buying me a cup of coffee, you can click on that QR code with Jasper. I don't know. I may stream on Tuesday morning. I'm not sure yet, but I'll send up a signal. I'll send up a signal from the other side. Thank you for all your good vibes, well wishes, prayers, and good thoughts. I really appreciate it. I feel like we're extremely fortunate to experience that. And I've never been somebody to come on here and say, "Oh, can you please pray for me?" I've never done that, and I'm still not really doing that. But I'm just letting you know what's happening. So thank you, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care. Love you all. Bye for now.